Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, today we're going to have a look at a new search engine called U.com. Somebody asked me to have a look at this, and so today we shall. Is this going to be an amazing new search engine or just another search engine? There are indeed a few compelling things to this engine, but there are some questions that I have and some things that go, I don't know. But let's go ahead and have a look. So, of course, the URL is easy, u.com, Y-O-U.com. The first question I have to ask as a web developer, how in the world did you get that URL? That means there's a lot of money in the backing. And indeed, this is founded by two people who, two of the main execs or founders of Salesforce.com. This is a Palo Alto company. It is a full-fledged Silicon Valley startup, which is designing itself to rebrand search engines. Of course, they have a few tip of the hats to privacy because that is the trendy thing to do right now. The biggest question is it really private or not? Now, we're going to have a look at this review in two factors. Number one, we are going to have a look at the privacy sections, having a look at brief look at the privacy policy and the terms of use. But secondly, we want to have a look at it as a search engine itself. So let's go ahead and start first with the search engine itself. What makes this a little bit different is instead of just giving you the standard list that every search engine does, is it's going to give you things in individual blocks, almost like the home page. So it's giving us just some, of course, we're calling it the U.com movement, yet more evidence that it's a weird Silicon Valley thing and not some real startup. These are all things that are putting a bad taste in my mouth already. Maybe that was just that granola bar I just had. I don't know. And anyway, they say from search engine to a do engine. They talk about your privacy puts you in control. Choose either a personalized or a truly private experience. And that is one of the hinge pins here is that jumping onto u.com and typing something in is not intrinsically private. They have an option that is allegedly private, and we would have to see how that works in the long run, but we'll walk through that in a bit. It's basically they're talking about summarizing the web rather than being a full-fledged search engine, which does make it a little bit compelling of a difference. They do talk about no ad targeting. Right now, there's no ads. They will be talking about having ads in the future, but they will be contextual ads, not ads tied to your privacy, kind of like Start Page does. And then they have, some basic support products and things. There's some media, press. All these things are just curated by them as they can search for what it is. Of course, you can use an extension, or of course, this is funny. I'm on Firefox and they're sending me to a Chrome extension. So I'm sorry, u.com. Not everybody uses Chrome and Chrome-based stuff, but you can make it a default search. Allegedly, I did not give it a try. Let's go ahead and type something in here. Let's do this. Best Linux distribution. Tip of the hat to the latest controversy. Now, the first thing that I noticed out of the gate is you saw those gray bars and things. They're using this REST JSP type stuff to load things in. That produces a very bad user experience, particularly if you have lower end hardware. I was testing this around on the Raspberry Pi build as I was working on website backups for people this morning, and it's very, very, very difficult to use this website if you have low end computer. So if you just have something that's, you're just using something low end because why bother updating? You're not going to have a real good experience. This one here, you saw that you had about a second or two of the gray bars loading on this computer, which is designed for high output streaming and things like that. So with this, though, what we see is instead of having a giant list, we have blocks instead with a little bit more information down here. So best Linux distros. So we have Tech Radar, Tech Edmond, Hayden James, It's Foss, Foss Bytes. So you can see that we have a lot of different options. We also, though, have some Stack Overflow. We have a specific Reddit section. We have quick facts. So Ubuntu GPU, here's Arch, here's Fedora. This is kind of cool in that, hey, they're giving us quick facts on individual different things. So here's just top Linux distributions to consider: Linux Mint, Ubuntu, Pop! OS, Elementary, Fedora, Zorin, Deepin. I would support that list. Seems good. And so the quick facts section is designed if you're typing in a question like, what's the radius of the Earth? It would show up with more information here. Here's a bunch of videos. 6 wonderful distributions. That looks like a Linux experiment video. It doesn't tell us specifically who it is, but looks like a Linux experiment video from the design and cover. Not completely sure, but that would be a good place to go. Best Linux distribution for Noobs Guide. So this would have actually helped Linus, the fact that there's some videos from actual Linux users down here that he could have used that because it's available resource. So there's what we have. We also have over here on the sidebar, we can search just web. We have video, images, news, and maps. Right now, if I understand correctly, the maps just redirects to Google Maps. And so some people may have some questions about that. So as far as the basic searching, let's look at radius of Earth. And so here we have Wikipedia stuff. Here's the weather. I don't know why we're getting the weather. I'm guessing it's taking the weather, I think, from my ISP. I'm not in Tucson, but I'm not too far away from Tucson. So, okay. So it's pulling information from the weather from my IP address. If I were to do an internet speed test right now, would not surprise me if I'm pinging my ISP off of Tucson. My test yesterday, I was pinging it off of Phoenix. Here's some basic web results. Here's quick facts, Earth radius right here, so I can see quickly the Earth radius. Here's some news. Here's some Reddit. There's some Quora. There's some videos. Now, what you see here is you see this guy here. There's delete and there's upvote, downvote. What you're doing here is it will take your IP address and presumably, now there's a few options. There's a sign up option. It's somewhat obscured by the corner. We're going to get to that in a moment. But you can upvote and downvote things. And then it was unclear to me if this is going to be a user curated displaying what's best or if this is personalized to you. So if I'm like, downvote the weather, it won't show me the weather quite as high up as it would show me other things. So in my case, I absolutely hate going to Reddit posts. So I'm going to downvote Reddit. Oh, it wants us to sign in. So now it takes us to the sign in page. I guess that's a good enough thing to let's go ahead and talk about these sign ins. Okay, so there is an option over here. And when you pull this option down, we have switch to private. We have FAQ. We have safe search mode. So this is, do you want it off? So it'll show you anything. Whoa. Moderate or strict. We have the default. We have the join the Slack, or we have the sign up. First, before we talk about the sign in accounts, let's go ahead and switch to private. So under private, so it says here, now you can search privately. In private mode, u.com does not save any of the following information: your search queries and your IP address. In other words, prior to us going in and selecting the private option, everything that we're doing, u.com is saving the IP address and the search queries. So it's clearly not a private-based system. You have the option to click this privacy mode, which in theory they do not. They also say queries and results are routed through our proxy, so the sites providing them will not know who is requesting them, which tells me that when you're not using the private mode, when Reddit is displaying its posts here on u.com to you, Reddit has access to your search query and your IP address. So by default, going to u.com is not going to be inherently private. All right. But with that being said, the private mode blocks that and runs that through the proxy. Please note u.com is a search engine, not a browser. We have no control on the privacy settings of your browser, operating system, computer, or network. So that's a good little disclaimer that other people should probably have. But we hit continue, and now it's basically the same thing. Let's just do 24C to F. That's a common search query that I do. So it tells me that 24 Celsius is 75 Fahrenheit, which is why I feel so comfortable right now in the van. That's about what the temp is right now. That's like a perfect temperature, isn't it? And then here's some web results. So in theory now, Reddit can't see what I'm searching for. Here's some quick temperatures. So I do like the way they're curating information and putting it in here, which is kind of cool. Looks like you have the black bar if you're on private mode and the white bar if you're not. That's what it appears. Now let's talk about the sign up option. If you sign up, of course, all of this stuff is more stored to your account, and then we actually have the privacy policy there kicks in a little bit more. So this is Susie Inc. is who runs you.com and its affiliates. We are and or us. What is this? Your pronouns? I mean, okay. Value the privacies of individuals who use our website located at you.com and related services, collectively our services. Privacy policy explains how we collect, use, and share information from or about you.com users or their devices. By using our services, you agree to the collection, use, disclosure, and procedures of this privacy policy describes. Beyond the privacy policy, your use of our services is also subject to our terms of service. We'll pull up in a separate page. We do not share or otherwise disclose information we collect from or about you except as described below or otherwise disclosed to you at the time of the collection. Please see the How We Share Information We Collect section of the privacy policy. So information we collect. So there is an early access since this is a beta. If you sign for early access, you ask for your email address. Once you've signed up for early access, you may complete a waitlist survey. Completion of survey is purely voluntary. You choose to complete the survey. We will ask you for demographic information, your gender, age, occupation, country, race, ethnicity. We'll also ask for information regarding your purchasing and searching habits and any additional information you'd like to provide. We use this information only to help ensure a representative sample for our beta testing population. Okay? If you sign up for early access, you may choose to provide email addresses of friends or family who you'd like to refer to our service. If you choose to do so, acknowledge we have permission to share information with us. Okay, so I will say first and foremost, do not provide somebody else's email address to this company without talking to them. It's better if you just word of mouth and, hey, have a look at you.com, see what you think. Registration profile. When you sign up for an account, we ask for your name and email address. Your preferences. As you use our services, you have the option to provide us with additional information, such as your preferred online sources, careers. If you decide you wish to apply for a job with us, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, if you're applying for a job, they're going to want and need information. Device information. We receive information about the device and software used to access our services, including internet protocol address, web browser type, operating system version, and device identifiers. So they are collecting a lot of device information. Usage. Help us understand how you use our services to help improve them. We automatically receive information about your interactions with our services, like the pages or content you view and the dates and times of your visits. Private mode differs significantly from this as described below. And then they use cookies and similar technologies. We collect information using only first-party cookies or similar technologies. So basic information there. How we use the information, we use it to provide, maintain, perfect, enhance services, understand and analyze how our services develop, to communicate with you, providing updates, marketing purposes, such as developing and providing promotional materials that may be useful, relevant, valuable, or otherwise interest to you. So that does actually conflict a little bit with what is on their homepage, that we're not using data to specifically target you. So their privacy policy differs from the information on their homepage. We generate anonymized aggregate data containing only de-identified non-personal information that we may use for any lawful purpose. That's frightening. To find and prevent fraud. Find and prevent fraud for looking up stuff on the internet. Okay. Just don't search for pressure cookers and nails at the same time, I guess. For compliance purposes, including enforcing our terms of service or other legal rights, or as may be required by law, and for other purposes which we provide specific notice. How we share with vendors and service providers. Third-party integrations, that's the dangerous one because who knows what third parties are doing as required by law. Merger, sale, or asset transfer, and consent. Now, the private mode, you can choose to use u.com in private mode. When you use private mode, we do not store or query your data. We do not share your location, data, or IP address with service partners. And market communications, you can unsubscribe from our promotional emails via the link provided in the emails. Even if you opt out of receiving promotional messages, you will continue to receive administrative messages. They don't willingly do anything with COPA. Make reasonable efforts to protect your information by using physical and electronic safeguards. Our service has a host electronically. We make no guarantees. Okay. Of course, changes, and there's any updates there. And of course, you can see their addresses in Palo Alto. So here is the terms and conditions of using the website. Let's see how long it is. Okay, it's not super long. So to use the website and other things, you can read the document carefully. Here's the information. Or hey@u.com. Hey, you! Okay, whatever. Unless otherwise specified, use of the terms of use detail in the section, generally when using the website. Just skimming through stuff real quick. Doesn't appear that there's any real odd things in here. It's just your basic governing law, the stuff that's common everywhere. All right. So going in over to the private mode will, in theory, block some of your things. The other thing that we noted, let me switch back to personal because actually they have changed something from earlier when I was here. There was actually another link at the footer. You guys can't even see the footer. Hold on, let me fix something here. All right. So here's this. Now, literally earlier, just about an hour ago or so, there was another link down here because they had mentioned earlier when I was looking at the site that there are some of their services are geared through Microsoft. And I'm not sure what had changed in the last 2 hours when I was researching this, but they removed a link to Microsoft's privacy policy that used to be at the bottom of the page. Maybe that only shows up occasionally. I don't know. Here's the privacy, goes back to the privacy policy, and there is also an FAQ page, which goes to a different website, u.com.notion.site. There's information there. So yes, somewhere at some point in time today, they removed a link to the Microsoft privacy policy, which used to sit at the bottom of the site. That's interesting. So there kind of is u.com in a nutshell. So here's the positives. They allege to have a privacy mode, which does not now, be clear, their privacy mode doesn't say we don't collect data. It says we don't share the data. I mean, maybe it does say we do. Let me switch to that again. All right. So u.com does not save your search queries or your IP address. So allegedly the private mode that they have does not save any of your information. So if you're going to use u.com, immediately go over and hit that privacy mode. And there is actually a URL extension you can put at the end there that will trigger the privacy mode. And I don't know what it is, but you should be able to track it down. You see it very briefly while you are switching to privacy mode. So if you bookmark that, you should always land on the private mode. I like the fact that it's giving us the information in a lot of different blocks, and it does actually appear out of the gate to have very useful information on the get-go. I'm a little concerned that the privacy policy, the founding, all the basics is pretty much Silicon Valley. So I'm not really expecting anything groundbreaking or amazing here. It's a US-based company based out of Silicon Valley. Those things immediately just do not instill a lot of confidence in me. But the layout is very nice. If indeed the private mode is indeed private, that's actually a really good thing. So it is a compelling thing to look at. I personally would not create an account with them. I'm not sure what value added base there is other than you curating your own responses with your own upvotes and downvotes. That seems to be the only thing there, is when you go ahead and upvote or downvote something, you can basically choose the type of information it feeds you in the future. That might be useful for you, but I'm just not sure I'm interested in the trade-off of giving up my name and email address to a Silicon Valley company for that purpose, when in reality, it's not all that difficult to enter your search query in the private mode and filter through what you want. Image searches seem to be decent, and some other factors made it pretty good. Like, for example, men can, if I type in men can, there's nothing in here about, men can have babies out of the gate. Whereas if I go to google.com and we do men can, get pregnant, lactate, breast cancer. Oh, they don't have men can. Yeah, there were a few other ones there. So yeah, they have a couple. They're a little bit better. Legitimately, men can get breast cancer. So whatever. But anyway, that being said, they're certainly a younger company, so the deep corruption has not hit them all that much. It is worth looking at, and the layout is quite a bit different and certainly compelling if you're looking for something. And I might try this out in the course of my daily work when I'm having to search up solutions to things on Stack Overflow. I'll see if it actually helps me with my searches or not in the future. But overall, that is a new search engine. Thanks to the person that recommended I have a look at this. It is a brand new service that I just saw, and I actually saw the news release was back in early November. So it's only about a month old before they started pushing out a lot of information. So have a look at it yourself. Tell me what you think. Is this good, bad, amazing, crazy? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.